Okay, are we ready? Yep. Okay. Well, let's go ahead and rise to the flag. Maybe not the special meeting. Okay. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice. Okay. Meeting called to order. It's a special council meeting. We're here to adopt some new city ordinances, actually amendment, and roll call.
Oh, hello. Guy Holt.
Here.
Paul Backus.
Here.
Sally Benny. Phoebe Farms running late. She should be showing up. And Mayor Harlan's coming.
Okay. So, Guy, you want
Just start off with resolution number 010709-2025, classifying underground mining activities as permitted in 3 zoning districts. Let me just grab and read it.
Yeah, we have to read it. Yeah.
So whereas Chapter 400 of the Missouri Code of Ordinance provides regulations for the health, safety, morale, and general welfare of the community, and whereas Section 400.130 describes permitted and accessory uses of M3 heavy industrial districts, and whereas Section 400.130 B3 describes open face quarries, sand or gravel pits for the purpose of removing, screening, crushing, washing, or storage of clay, stone, gravel, or similar materials, sometimes referred to as surface mining, as permitted use in District M3, and whereas IDECA Incorporated operates an open face and underground limestone quarry business enterprise in Mosby known as Mosby Quarry, located on Cameron Road, and whereas IDECA started the Mosby Quarry business operation in 2013, approximately 12 years ago, and started to mine underground approximately 1 year ago, and whereas IDECA Incorporated principal use of the Mosby Quarry is an open-face quarry, and its underground mining is an accessory use thereof, and whereas some residents near the Mosby Quarry have questioned IDECA's right to mine limestone underground, and whereas Section 400.180 provides any business enterprise not listed and classified in a zoning district may be classified by the Board of Aldermen. Such classifications shall, however, reasonably come within the general intent and purpose of Chapter 400 in classifying buildings and business enterprises. Now therefore be it resolved by the Board of Aldermen of Mosby, pursuant to Section 400.180, the Board of Aldermen hereby determine underground mining is a principal use permitted in District M3. Be it further resolved that this resolution be spread upon the minutes of the board.
So, do you have to read it twice, or just the title?
Tyler?
Title first.
Okay, resolution number 01-0709-2025, classifying underground mining activities as permitted use in M3 zoning districts.
Okay.
One more time?
No.
Yeah.
Okay, one more time.
Resolution number 01-0709-2025, classifying underground mining activities as permitted use in M3 zoning districts.
Okay.
You make a motion to pass the resolution.
I'll second it.
All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries to resolution number 01, was it 0 or 8? 0709-2025. Okay. Okay, motion passed.
So there was no that's more underground mining before this?
Yeah, there is Chapter 400 of the Missouri of the ordinances, and the word Tim will amend that.
So it was falling under Missouri code, not city of Mosby.
No, city and state, I presume. I don't know about the state, but city for sure.
How do you know that it was zoned M3? How do you know that the quarry is currently zoned M3?
I think we'll open the public comment after proceedings.
Yeah, I can answer. I'll go ahead and answer that. Yeah, it's already M3. It's been well, that's what they're operating under now.
Okay.
How do you know? How do you know?
Well, we have it, okay, we're going to address this when we get done with all this, okay?
So, want to start off on the next one then?
Yeah, go ahead.
All right, this is kind of a long one, guys, so bear with me. We've got about 17 pages here. Okay.
So as you read through it, pardon me, can we ask you clarifying questions about what you're reading, or is that unacceptable?
I think we need to get through it. We just handed out an outline of basically what's in that, so if someone would share that with you, that would be good. Take a look through it. After, once we get to public comment, yes.
And we don't have much to do it, so I mean, that's what we want to...
Do we have public comment?
No, we don't have, that's fine, we can answer the question, okay. Yeah, that's fine with me, okay? I mean, I wouldn't expect that.
All right.
So which one were you doing now,
The big one.
the big one? Oh, okay, wow.
Okay, City of Mosby, Missouri, amendment to ordinance number, chapter 400, isn't it? Chapter 400 mining ordinance.
Is this the chapter 400 code of the ordinance 400? Yes.
So it's an ordinance amending ordinance number 400 regulating mining operations within the City of Mosby, Missouri, and establishing permitting requirements, public safety controls, operational standards, reclamation, and post-use restrictions. This ordinance is adopted pursuant to the authority granted by RSMO 71010, 79.110, 432.070, 89.010 through 89.140, and other applicable provisions of Missouri law relating to public health, land use, and conditional use permitting. Whereas the Board of Aldermen of the City of Mosby, Missouri finds it necessary to regulate mining operations within the city limits in order to protect public health, safety, and welfare, and whereas the city seeks to establish clear standards for mining permits, dust control, seismic activity, heavy truck traffic, post-mining land use, and community accountability. Now therefore it be it ordained by the Board of Aldermen of the City of Mosby, Missouri as follows. Section 1A, conditional land use designation. Mining operations within the City of Mosby are designated as conditional land use and may only be authorized through issuance of a conditional use permit or CUP. Approval of such permits shall be at the discretion of the Board of Aldermen and may be subject to additional conditions or limitations deemed necessary to protect health, safety, and the welfare of the community. Section 1B, incorporation of technical references. The technical and statutory references used to inform and support this ordinance are compiled in the attached appendix. These references reflect the best available guidance as of July 2025 and are intended to assist in interpreting and applying the provision of this ordinance. While non-binding, they shall be considered authoritative for the purpose of administration and enforcement unless otherwise superseded by federal or state law. Section 1, definitions, mining operations, any extractions of rock, aggregate minerals, or other subsurface materials, including associated activities such as blasting, crushing, stockpiling, or hauling. Operator, any entity or individual who owns, leases, or manages a mining operation. Permittee, an operator who has obtained a permit under this ordinance. City roads, all public street, alleys, and rights-of-way maintained by the City of Mosby. Blasting, the use of explosives for rock fracture. Occupied structure, any building used for residential, commercial, or public purposes. Section 2, mining conditional use permit required. Section 2.1, permit required. No person or entity shall commence or continue any mining operation within the City of Mosby without first obtaining a valid mining operational conditional use permit issued by the city clerk and approved by the Board of Aldermen. Each CUP application shall include, at minimum, a site plan showing property boundaries, excavation areas, and blasting zones. A dust control plan as required under Section 3. Proposed seismic monitoring locations and equipment specifications. A haul route and traffic impact plan, visual buffering and screening measures, an emergency response and spill containment plan, proof of general liability, insurance meeting city standards, and any technical and environmental studies required by the city, including but not limited to seismic, geotechnical, or hydrologic reports.
2.3, permit term and renewal. CUP shall be valid for a period of 1 year from the date of insurance and shall be subject to annual renewal upon reinspection and verification of compliance. The city may impose additional conditions at this time of renewal. 2.4, residential setback requirement. All mining activities, including excavation, crushing, or blasting, shall be located no closer than 50 feet from any occupied resident structure.
500.
500, I'm sorry. The Board of Aldermen may grant a variance from this requirement upon written request, provided that the application demonstrates that equal or greater protection will be achieved through alternate measures. In evaluating variance and requests, the board shall consider factors including proximity and type of neighboring structures, blasting transmissions pathways, soil and geological conditions, prior complaint of incident history. 2.5, development and migration agreement. As a condition of permit approval, the Board of Aldermen will require the execution of a development and nuisance migration agreement outlining mining commitments regarding dust, vibration, blasting, road use, and community engagement. 2.6, independent review authority. The city may retain one or more independent technology consultants to assist in review of any application document or related studies. The applicant shall bear the full cost of such a review, which cost shall be reasonable. 2.7, permit fee and adjustment. An annual non-refundable CUP fee of $5,000 shall be paid by the applicant at the time of the insurance or renewal. This fee may be adjusted by resolutions of the Board of Aldermen no more than one per calendar year. Adjustment may consider 1, inflations, 2, administrative and enforcement costs, regulation complexity, impact to local infractions or service. Any fee adjustment shall apply to the next permit cycle unless otherwise specified. 2.8, compliance review fee. As part of the permit application or renewal process, each operator shall submit an annual $500 screening, compliance, and review fee to cover the city's cost of reviewing visual buffer plans and performing sites inspections. This fee may be adjusted annually by the Board of Aldermen. Failure to pay this fee shall result in the permit application being deemed incomplete. 2.9, the Board of Aldermen reserve the right to deny any CUP application if, after review of the submitted materials and consideration of public comments, it finds that the proposed mining activity, 1, is likely to negatively affect public health, safety, or welfare, would create undue strain on multiple infractions, is incompetent with surrounding land uses or the city's long-term land use plan.
Do you want me to go back to section 3?
Yeah.
Okay, section 3, dust control requirements. Section 3.1, required dust mitigation measures. All operators shall implement best practices to prevent the release of airborne dust and particulates from mining activities, haul roads, and transportation routes. At a minimum, the following control measures shall be utilized at all times. Application of water trucks or dust suppressants on haul roads and unpaved surfaces. Installation and maintenance of wheel wash stations or tracking pads at all site exits. Use of tarps, covers, or enclosed containers for all vehicles hauling loose materials off-site. 3.2, visible dust, dirt, or particulate matter escaping beyond the operator's property shall constitute a violation of this ordinance. Operators shall take immediate corrective actions upon notice from the city or upon observation of off-site emissions. Section 3.3, the monitoring requirements. The city may require operators to monitor and report air quality data using EPA-recognized methods. Upon written notice, the operator may be required to conduct ambient air monitoring for PM10 or PM2.5 particulate matter. Submit certified reports to the city clerk at intervals determined by the Board of Aldermen. Install temporary or permanent monitoring stations along haul routes or property boundaries. Section 3.4. Failure to implement or maintain dust control measures may result in permit suspension of fines as outlined in Section 11, orders for immediate corrective action, or withholding of permit renewals until compliance is verified. Section 4, truck weight, routing, and road use. 4.1, weight limits. Haul trucks' gross vehicle weight, GVWs, on road shall not exceed any posted weight limits established by the city, or if no posted limits exist, the default maximum weight authorized under Missouri state law, RSMO 304.180, or any lower limit set by resolution of the Board of Aldermen based on pavement conditions, safety, or capacity. 4.2, operators must designate haul routes approved by the city. The city may revise approved routes at any time based on safety, road wear, or community concerns. 4.3, operating hours. No trucks shall operate on city roads before 6 a.m. or after 7 p.m. unless otherwise approved in writing by the city. 4.4, road damage bond. Operators may be required to post a road damage bond as condition of the permit approval or renewal. The bond shall be determined by the city based on expected traffic volume and road type. 4.5, the city may require operators to submit scale tickets, axle weight certifications, or other proof of compliance upon request. Violations are subject to permit suspension and fines under Section 11. Section 5, blasting notification limits. 5.1, notification requirements. Operators must provide written notice of scheduled blasts to the city clerk and affected residents within 2,500 feet. Notice shall be given at least 48 hours in advance via email, text message, or phone call. 5.3, seismograph placement, primary location. Must comply with the seismic monitoring requirements set forth in Section 6. 5.4, seismograph placement alternative location. And this goes back to Section 6 as well. If consent is not granted, the seismograph shall be placed at the closest accessible location approved by the city that reasonably approximates the blast transmission path to the structure. 5.5, measurement interpretation. For regulatory purposes, peak particle velocity, otherwise known as PPV, and air overpressure threshold shall be interpreted based on measurements taken at the nearest occupied structure or the most representative monitoring location available. Measurements taken solely at the blast site shall not be considered sufficient for compliance. 5.6, violation and enforcement. Exceeding the approved vibration, overpressure, or sound thresholds without prior city approved justification shall constitute a violation of this ordinance and may result in enforcement actions including written warnings, fines, or suspension or revocation of mining operating permits at the discretion of the Board of Aldermen based on the severity and reoccurrence.
Section 6, 6.1, equipment standards. All operators shall install and maintain a seismograph monitoring equipment approved by the city. Seismographs must be professionally calibrated and capable of accurately recording both peak velocity and air overpressure. Equipment must be maintained in proper working condition at all times, and all data must be made available to the city upon request. 6.2, monitoring location. For underground blasting operations, at least one seismograph shall be installed at or near as reasonably practicable to the nearest occupied structure potentially affected by the blast. Placement within 25 feet of the structure is perfect, subject to the written consent of the property owner. If access is denied, the operator shall install a seismograph at the closest feasible alternative location approved by the city that reasonably reflects the transmission path and likely to impact the structure. Measurement taken solely at the blast site, Measurements taken solely at the blast site, quarry bound, and within the operation area shall be deemed I am so sorry, I just don't know how to talk all the time. Significant for compliance. Threshold of reporting requirements. The following maximum limits shall apply to all blasting activities unless modified by a duly adopted resolution of the Board of Aldermen. Peak practical velocity. Peak particle velocity, PPV, 0.25 inches per second. For frequency, measured at the nearest occupied structure. Air overpressure, 129 decibel, DM, measured at the nearest occupied structure. Monthly blast log submission. Each operator shall submit a blast log to the city clerk no later than the 10th calendar of each day. Each log shall include the date, time, location of each blast, PPV and air overpressure readings for each monitored location, the location and carbonation data for each seismograph used, a summary of any citizen complaints received in relation to blasting events, failure to submit timely and complete reports may result in an enforcement under Section 11, including permit, suspension, or fine. Third-party review. The city may require independent third-party review or auditing of seismograph data at any time, including on an annual basis or in response to a verified complaint. 6.4. To maintain vibration and potential structural impact, operators are strongly encouraged to use non-blast rock removal methods within 600 feet of any occupied resident structure. Acceptable methods may include hydraulic or mechanical rock splinters, non-explosive expansive demolition agent, rock grinders, rippers, or cutting heads, tunnel, boring, or raised boring equipment, other low vibration and methods as such as approved by the city.
Okay. Section 7, visual buffering. 7.1. Installation requirement. Operator shall install and maintain visual screening in the form of vegetative buffers, fencing, or berms to minimize visibility of the mining operation from adjacent properties and public rights of way. 7.2, screening location. Screening shall be required along city roads and residential corridors as identified in the approved permit application. 7.3, maintenance obligation. All required screening must be maintained in good condition, including regular mowing, pruning, and replacement of dead or damaged plantings. 7.4, enforcement and penalties. Failure to maintain visual buffers shall constitute a violation of this ordinance. Each day the condition remains uncorrected shall constitute a separate offense. Upon identifying non-compliance, the city may issue a written notice requiring corrective action to be completed within 60 days. If corrective measures are not taken within that time frame, the operator may be fined up to $250 per day for each day the violation continues beyond the deadline, at the discretion of the Board of Aldermen. Section 8. Complaint response and public communication. 8.1, public complaint access. Operators shall establish and maintain a public complaint hotline or online portal for use by residents and other affected parties. The contact information shall be clearly posted at the site entrance and included in all required notices. 8.2, response time frame. All the complaints must be responded to by the operator within 72 hours of receipt. 8.3, complaint log submission. Operators shall maintain a log of all complaints received, including the date, nature of the complaint, and the resolution or response provided. A copy of this log shall be submitted to the city clerk on a monthly basis. 8.4, annual public meeting requirement. Each operator is to host an annual public meeting within the city of Mosby at or at another location approved by the city for the purpose of reporting on mining operation and compliance activities and reviewing complaint history and response actions. Also addressing public concerns or suggestions. The date, time, and location of the meeting must be publicly noticed at least 14 days in advance. Section 9, Community Impact Fund. 9.1, the City of Mosby hereby establish a Community Impact Fund to mitigate adverse effects of the mining operation on nearby residents and public infrastructure, and to support the city's ability to monitor and respond to operational impacts. 9.2, permitted uses of the fund. The fund may be used by the city for purposes reasonably related to the mitigation, monitoring, communication, or response efforts associated with the impacts of mining operations as determined by the Board of Aldermen, including but not limited to monitoring and response to public complaints regarding dust, vibration, or sound, including the installation of monitoring equipment if warranted, road maintenance or repairs attributable to haul truck activity without relieving the operator of bonding or restitution obligations. Public communication tools such as notification systems, signage, or community meeting logistics, not routine operator communications. Technical review or limited third-party inspection of structural conditions in response to verified complaints of property damage, not for routine or post-blast inspections. Legal or engineering consultation required for enforcement or compliance evaluation. Development of GIS or other impact tracking tools related to mining activity. Emergency response planning or equipment acquisition. Periodic community health, safety, and environmental perception surveys. 9.3, the operator remains solely responsible for dust suppression and on-site air quality control, seismographic and sound monitoring equipment installation, maintenance, and calibration, routine communications with the affected residents under Section 5, pre-blast structural inspections as required in Section 10. Post-blast inspections shall not be required except in response to documented damage claim and shall not be conducted at the operator's expense, shall be conducted at the operator's expense if ordered by the city. 9.4, contribution to the fund. As condition of permit issuance or renewal, each mining operator shall contribute to the fund via the non-refundable annual permit renewal fee specified in Section 2.3 of this ordinance and a quarterly contribution calculated as either 0.13 cents or 13 cents per ton of material extracted within the city of Mosby, or yet to be determined a percentage of gross receipts from the city-based quarry operations to be determined at a later date.
9.5, rate review and adjustment. The Board of Aldermen shall review the contribution rate at least once every 3 years to ensure alignment with regional query benchmark, inflation, infraction cost, and demonstrated community impact. Following such a review, the board may arm the pre-ton rate as gross receipt percentage by resolution. Any adjustment shall take effect at the beginning of the next period renewal cycle unless otherwise specified. Certification and auditing. 9.6, operations shall submit production and or review reports certified by a corporate officer or CPA. All records shall be subject to audit by the city. 9.7, interim adjustment. In addition to the scheduled what is it? Triennial review, the Board of Aldermen may adjust the contribution rate annually by resolution based on 1, documented inflation, changes in operation scale, material market condition, or demonstrated infractional impact. Section 10, pre-blast structure inspection. 10.1, inspection, offer requirement. Operators shall offer at their own expense a pre-blast structural inspection to all occupied homes within 1,000 feet of any proposed blasting zone. 10.2, all inspections shall be conducted by licensed structural engineers or any qualified third party unaffiliated with the operator. 10.3, inspection scope. Each inspection shall include the following: interior and exterior structures, photo and or video documentation of existing conditions, a written condition report signed by the property owner or documentation of the owner's refusal to participate. 10.4, notification of property owner. Homeowners must be notified of the inspection offer at least 30 days prior to any scheduled blasting. For active mining sites where blasting occurs on a daily or frequent basis, operators shall provide written notice and other structural inspections to all occupied residence structures within 1,500 feet of the blast zone. The initial notification shall be delivered no later than 10 business days after the ordinance becomes effective and prior to commencement of a new blasting zone. Inspection scheduling. Homeowners shall be given at least 5 business days to schedule an inspection after receiving notice. Rolling compliance. Once an inspection has been made, it shall remain valid for 90 calendar days unless blasting patterns significantly change or a new structure is affected. Operators must renew their offer at least every 90 days while blasting continues within the proximity unless the homeowner has already declined an inspection in writing. Expansion into a new proximity zone. If the blasting zone expands or shifts such an additional occupied structure fall within the 1,500-foot radius, the operator shall issue a new inspection offer to those homeowners within 10 business days of the challenge. The same scheduling and rolling compliance provisions shall apply. 10.5, record filing. A copy of each inspection report shall be filed with the city clerk and must be available to the corresponding property owner upon request. If a pre-blast inspection identifies structural conditions that may be aggravated by blasting, the city may require the operator to submit a mitigation plan prior to proceeding. Such plan may include adjustments to the blast design, vibration limits, or alternative rock removal methods. The city reserves the right to suspend or delay blasting until such measures are approved and implemented. 10.6, enforcement. Failure to comply with the provisions of this section may result in permanent suspension and/or fines as outlined in Section 10. 10.7, use of records. The city may use pre-blast inspection records for complaint and investigation or damage mitigation. These records shall be damage mitigation. These records shall be restricted or limited any resident's right to pursue independent legal claims or remedies.
Section 11, nuisance enforcement and penalties. Now 11.1, violations as municipal nuisance. Any violation of this ordinance shall constitute a municipal nuisance and shall be subject to the enforcement actions, including but not limited to fines up to $500 per day per violation, suspension or revocation of the mining operating permit. 11.2, additional remedies. In addition to the remedies above, the city will pursue injunctive relief or issue cease and desist orders where warranted to prevent or mitigate further harm to the public health, safety, or welfare. Section 12, reclamation plan and financial assurance. 12.1, reclamation plan required. All operators of active or inactive mining sites within the city of Mosby shall submit a detailed reclamation plan for review and approval by the Board of Aldermen. The plan shall include, at a minimum, final grading and contouring of all disturbed areas, revegetative using native or city-approved plant species, removal of all equipment, materials, stockpiles, and temporary structures, long-term erosion and stormwater drainage control measures, a timeline for phased or full site reclamation, and a proposed post-site reclamation land use consistent with the city's comprehensive plan and zoning ordinances. 12.2, each operator shall post a reclamation bond or other form of financial surety covering the full cost of executing the approved reclamation plan. Acceptable forms of financial assurance include revocable letters of credit issued by the FDIC, insured financial institutions, performance of surety bonds issued by a licensed bonding company, escrow accounts held by independent third party, or cash deposits made directly to the city. 12.3, independent cost estimation required. The estimated cost of reclamation plan shall be verified by an independent third party, such as a licensed engineer or a cost estimator retained by the city. The estimate must reflect prevailing rates for labor, materials, equipment removal, revegetation, and any required post-use stabilization measures. The operator shall reimburse the city for the full cost of obtaining or reviewing such independent estimates. 12.4, submission deadlines. For existing mining operations, the reclamation plan and financial assurance shall be submitted within 90 calendar days of the effective date of this ordinance. For new mining operations, the reclamation plan and financial assurance shall be submitted and approved prior to the issuance of any mining operations permit. 12.5, the bond release procedure. The financial assurance shall remain in full force and effect until all reclamation activities have been completed to the satisfaction of the city. Upon written request by the operator, the city may conduct a final inspection of the reclaimed site. If the city determines that the reclamation has been satisfactorily completed in accordance with the approved plan, a formal release of bond or financial instrument shall be issued. Partial releases may be authorized for phased reclamation, subject to board approval and verified field inspection. 12.6, enforcement and noncompliance. Failure to submit or maintain an approved reclamation plan and associated financial assurance shall constitute a violation of this ordinance and may result in immediate suspension or revocation of the mining operating permit, forfeiture of the posted bond or financial instrument, additional enforcement remedies as provided in Section 11. 12.7, post-reclamation monitoring. The city may require continued monitoring and site inspection for up to 5 years following the completion of the reclamation. Such monitoring may include site stability assessments, erosion and damage control, drainage control inspections, and evaluation of vegetative success to ensure compliance with the approved plan. 12.8. State permit coordination. The cities shall require each operator to submit a copy of the operator's approved Missouri land reclamation permit and any related reclamation maps or documents. The city's review of this reclamation plan may incorporate, but shall not be limited to, the standards and timelines established by the Missouri Department of Natural Resources. Where the city requirements exceed those of the state, the more stringent local standards shall control. 12.9. Site-specific performance conditions. To ensure transparency and protect the public interest, the Board of Aldermen may impose additional conditions on reclamation activities within the city of Mosby, including but not limited to site-specific vegetative screening and erosion control not addressed in the state permit, and reporting on the status of active and reclaimed areas, required updates to the reclamation plan following substantial changes in mining, footprint, or post-use strategy, city inspection or third-party verification prior to partial bond release, conditions requiring advance notice to the city before request for acreage release under the state permit.
Section 13, post-mining use regulations. 13.1, prohibited use. No former mining site shall be used as industrial waste disposal, landfill operation, or demolished debris placement unless such use is specifically authorized by ordinance adopted by the Board of Aldermen. Prohibited facilities. The following are strictly prohibited on any post-mining sites within the city: landfills, water transfer stations, placement or storage of municipal or industrial waste. 13.3, land use approval requirement. All proposed reclaimed land shall be subject to zoning approval and review by the Board of Aldermen to ensure consistency with the city's long-term land use objective and capability the surrounding neighborhoods. 13.4, the city deed restrictions. The city may require the recorder of deeds restrictions limiting further use of the site as a condition of permanent closure or financial bond release. 13.5, penalty for violations. Violations for this section may result in 1, fines up to $2,500 per day for each day the violation continues, or 2, revocation of any permits or approval related to post-mining redevelopment. 13.6, conformance with future comprehensive plan. If the city of Mosby adopts a comprehension plan at any point in the future, all post-mining land use, whether active, proposed, or pending, shall be reviewed for performance with that plan. The city reserves right to require amendment land use proposal to meet update planning goals, deny redevelopment that is inconsistent with the adopted plan, or modify or condition further approvals accordingly. Go ahead, 14.
Section 14, post-reclamation development rights and revenue. 14.1, permit required for underground reuse. Any proposed reuse of a former mining site for underground development, including but not limited to warehousing, offices, or storage facilities, shall require a new permit and former approved by the Board of Aldermen. Fees and revenue participation. The city of Mosby may impose developmental fees or use taxes on commercial operation utilizing former mining sites, and operation-based public benefits contributions were appropriate to ensure the city benefits from long-term commercial redevelopment of previously mined land. 14.3, development agreement requirement. All post-reclamation redevelopment shall be governed by a written development agreement approved by the Board of Aldermen. This agreement shall outline permitted land uses, safety protocols and design standards, environmental monitoring or post-use restrictions, insurance and liability coverage, and maintenance obligations tied to public health and infrastructure. 14.4, no automatic right from mining permit. Issuing of a mining operation permit under this ordinance does not convey any future rights or entitlement to post-mining redevelopment. Each proposal used shall be subject to independent review and approval under applicable city laws. 14.5, rail access restrictions. Proximity to existing or proposed rail infrastructure does not guarantee any automatic rights of rail access or easement. All proposed rail uses for connection shall require city approval and may be subject to additional conditions, impact study, or public benefit requirements.
Section 15, insurance and indemnification, 15.1, liability insurance requirements. All permittees shall maintain at their sole cost and expense the following insurance coverages at all times during the term of the mining operation permit and throughout the reclamation period. Commercial general liability, minimum limits of $2 million per occurrence and $5 million aggregate. Pollution liability or environmental impairment insurance. Commercial auto liability covering all haul vehicles operated on city roads, and workers' compensation insurance as required by Missouri law. 15.2, proof of coverage. Certificates of insurance shall be submitted to the city clerk prior to issuance of renewal of any permit. All policies shall name the city of Mosby as additional insured and include 30 days advance written notice to the city of any cancellation or material change. 15.3, indemnification clause. As a condition of this permit approval, the operator shall enter into a written agreement to indemnify, defend, and hold harmless the city of Mosby, its elected officials, officers, employees, and agents from and against any and all claims, demands, damages, losses, liabilities, or costs, including attorney's fees and court costs, alleged injuries to persons, property, or the environment caused in whole or in part by the mining operation, including blasting, dust, noise, and traffic, violations of any applicable local, state, or federal law by the operator, and third-party legal actions brought against the city related to mining or post-reclamation use of the site. 5.4, continuing obligation. The indemnification obligations under the section shall survive the expiration, suspension, or revocation of any mining operations permit and continue throughout the applicable statutory period for claims. Section 16, reservation of immunities. Nothing in this ordinance shall be construed to waive, limit, or impair immunity, defense, or the protection available to the city of Mosby, its officials, officers, or employees under RSMO 537.6 to 537.6.5 of the Missouri Constitution, or any other applicable state or federal law. Section 17, interpretation and legal review. All statutory and technical references contained in this ordinance reflect the best available guidance and interpretations as of July 2025. Because local, state, and federal laws are subject to amendment and a jurisdictional reinterpretation, the City of Mosby recommends that legal counsel the City of Mosby recommends that legal counsel be consulted to confirm continued compliance. Nothing in this ordinance shall be construed to waive any immunity or defense available to the city under RSMO 537.6 to 537.65 or other applicable laws. Section 18, effective date, that would be today, but the ordinance shall take effect and be in full force from and after its passage and approval by the Board of Aldermen and compliance with all provisions of RSMO 79.130, including proper publication and filing with the city clerk.
Again, one more time, this was the City of Mosby, amendment to ordinance number 400, an ordinance amending ordinance number 400, regulating mining operations within the City of Mosby, Missouri, and establishing permitting requirements, public safety controls, operational standards, and reclamation and post-use restrictions. Again, this was the City of Mosby, amendment to ordinance number 400, an ordinance amending ordinance number 400, regulating mining operations within the City of Mosby, Missouri, and establishing permitting requirements, public safety controls, operational standards, and reclamation and post-use restrictions.
Any discussion?
If there's no discussion, I'll make a motion that we accept this ordinance that was just read.
Okay, I'll second the motion to amend ordinance 400. Mining.
You seconded?
Guy, second, I first did.
Okay. Motion carries. Accept ordinance 400.
What else?
Is that it? No.
Need to take a vote. Aye.
Aye.
Paul? Aye. Pete?
Aye.
Sally? Aye.
Okay. Oh, pardon. Aye. Okay. Motion carries. So we want to close the meeting and we'll have a question and answer. Sure. Question or let's do that. Okay. Make a motion to adjourn.
At this time, since we've read the two ordinances that was questioned, I make a motion that we adjourn the meeting at this time and open up for public voice.
Sure.
And open up for public voice
Let's do that.
within a limited amount of time.
Okay. Who made the motion? Okay.
I did.
You second? Second. Okay. Meeting adjourned. Okay, come on.
My question is, what you've read to us is pretty detailed, and it sounds like you're really going to be overseeing the mining operations to ensure compliance with everything that you have in there. Which one of you or who is going to be the individual to do that?
So you probably know that we just signed a contract, or it's an end review, I believe, with the Clay County Commission to approve our contract with police, right, to have police here. So those are the people that would be enforcing ordinances throughout the city, whether it would be this one or squatting or whatever it may be. So if there's a violation, then at that point, we would turn it over to the police.
Even for the mining ordinances?
You have to issue a
expect
citation,
them?
citations and warnings and things like that. I presume that we would.
So you'll be paying them off-duty to work, the sheriff's department off-duty
Well,
to...
they're under a contractual agreement, so they wouldn't be off duty.
It's not approved yet, though. Correct.
No, I mean, when is that meeting,
Tomorrow
Joanne?
night,
Tomorrow night?
Yeah.
Okay.
Do they know that, though, this will be part of that?
No, it's not on our agenda. But it can be for coming weeks.
But there'd be-
I would
but
think that
Clay
would be something that I was speaking out of turn, Joanne. I mean,
Well,
if we
here's-
have an ordinance, can we actually do that? Issue a citation, a warning, things like that?
Well, here's the way it should work. Because it's going to be in the city of Mosby, if you approve all this,
Right.
then number one's going to have to be it's going to be on your back. But
Yeah.
if there are major infractions, then you can, planning and zoning can step in. But really, it's going to have to end up going to state regulators like your mining people and things of that nature. So that's where it's probably going to have to pull them in.
Their ordinances, will they will follow the state, but if
Yes.
their ordinance is different, will they also follow theirs?
Yeah, that's the bad thing that I see. You know, and now, if they continue to come in and do their due diligence like they're supposed to do, I would make a strong suggestion, because I did tour that facility Monday.
Right.
I was gratified to see that they weren't going any farther than they said they were going, and I measured it, so I knew from their end and where they stopped. And they did stop going west, they did stop going north, and didn't go into Clay County. It's all still the city of Mosby where they are. And they showed us how they mixed the blasting stuff. They didn't use, I thought they used dynamite, but they used what they did at that mix that they used in Oklahoma City at that
Right,
bomb.
I think it was like
And they were showing us how they mixed that.
fertilizer
Yeah.
and diesel fuel or something like that.
They were very open about where we went and what we saw. So they weren't trying to hide anything. The only negative that I see is, like we've all talked about, at once that they've got the ability to go on in deeper, then what kind of impact is that going to have? But other than that, right now, they are where they say they are. I made sure of that. But I would, if I were you guys, someone of you, when those mining guys come in, I'd go with them. They can't tell you you can't.
Exactly, I
And-
agree.
Yeah, and you need to hold their feet to the fire,
Yeah,
because
so they can let me know, or some of the council
Yeah,
members,
exactly.
we'll make sure. Somebody's gonna have to watch over it.
Yep.
Yeah, I mean,
Can I back up a second? I was going to ask her to clarify. I think you had 2 points. One of your questions was, sorry, I had dental surgery, so I can't talk. Were you asking, how are they going to monitor? You're setting this up and you're going to monitor. Are the council members going to go every time there's a requirement or a request or
Yeah,
something?
there's actually,
investigated?
part of the funding is to cover enforcement to a certain degree. If you go
Is
back.
that by a third party or you guys?
No, we will probably actually go, at least on the initial call, if there's complaints and things like that. If we need to bring other people in, I think we could at that
That's what
point.
she's
Yeah, they need to
asking.
get
That's
a
her
third party involved, I mean,
Well, the ordinance actually calls for third party and them to pay for any third party type seismic or analysis or technical analysis. So if we need, if there's a, let's say that they don't agree with the .25 ppv and they think the .3 is fine. My understanding is that we can set pretty much any value we want to. We want to be proactive with the public and lower that threshold. We wanted to get closer to the house with the seismic monitoring. So we tried to do all that. The PM10, that was along with complaints as well. I've seen the dust clouds and so have you. The tarping is important, the water and dust. The roads are atrocious up there. And this will be public privy once we get it passed, we'll be able to basically fund a mitigation fund, for every ton of things they mine. So some of that money is
What
going
about the roads not in Mosby, the roads in Excelsior Springs?
Well, maybe Excelsior should pass something like that too, but I don't know if they can because it's really not in the city limits right now.
Sure.
Yeah.
Neighborly, though, to think about the other side.
Absolutely, yeah. And most of you guys aren't in the city limits, and we had that conversation last time. We want to do what we can, from our standpoint. We still want to grow as a city, obviously. This used to be a great city, and you all know that. We'd like to see it return, and at least, and that's part of our law enforcement effort to.
So can I back up to that? So you're going to ask the sheriff's department to enforce.
No, I think at first we try to be as neighborly as possible and go up there and say, look, we're getting complaints. What can we do about it?
Sure, but what about your current property maintenance issues?
So are you talking about down the road here?
I'm talking about, yes, others.
Yeah. That was the primary reason we actually wanted to sign a contract with Clay County so we could bring law enforcement here to issue those citations and complete evictions.
But do they know that part of it would also be this mining enforcement?
They don't at this point, no.
They know whatever's in our city limits will be their responsibility.
And to
Sure, but
enforce.
that ordinance packs a punch with enforcement.
Yes, it does.
And so I'm just not, as a
So if it has
county taxpayer.
let me ask you a question. If it has a little punch, would it be more enforceable?
I'm just asking who's going to do that?
Well, I think it'll be.
And what does that contract entail? How many hours would there be law enforcement here?
I believe it's up to us, isn't it?
Yeah,
Sure.
every time they
They
come
were
out,
waiting
it's
for
4
the
hours.
commissioners tonight, tomorrow night to take a vote before we give them the hours that we want them to come out and work.
Yeah, it hasn't been approved yet.
And it's to help us enforce ordinances, just like
Correct.
down the road here. We want to clean the place up. We want to develop and progress as a city. We're only a fourth-class city, but that doesn't mean that we can't be a very nice city.
Now, let me answer your question.
Me?
We can't take a vote on anything tomorrow that hasn't been posted, and so that 24-hour thing comes in. We can't take a vote on anything that isn't on the agenda, but if y'all have things that you want on, first of all, you're going to have to negotiate with the sheriff.
Right.
But as I was coming in, a deputy was going out.
Right.
So I know they've been pretty good about monitoring.
They do come in.
Yeah, but you need to sit down with Aiken and say, these are the things we want to change. And then or if you've got things you want.
At this point, we can't enforce anything.
Before you present it to the
Yeah,
commission.
yeah. And then if you've got anything that you'd like to see the county be involved more in, then bring that to us and say, these are the things we'd like to see you take responsibility, and then we can put on the agenda and vote.
Thank you very much.
That's good.
What's your name?
Mallory, I signed it.
Okay.
Can I ask a question? I want to circle back to my zoning question. So it's really a two-part question. Is the current mining in M3 zoning?
Yeah, I think so.
Yes, yes.
How do you know?
Because we have it in our books in the office and we have it on the maps.
Okay. I submitted a sunshine request to review your official zoning map and your zoning ordinance, and was told that there wasn't.
Now, who
The
you
only
with,
maps that we have are hanging right now.
Mallory, who you with?
I'm with the city of Excelsior.
Oh, okay. We have a part-time clerk, so our apologies for that. She only works like 3 days a week. She's been overwhelmed with this.
Sure, yeah, I totally get that, but her response to me was going to be that we don't have that. So if you do have it, I my request.
Okay,
I would like to see it.
okay. We've gone through several changes of clerks and things like that. It might take a little bit of digging to find, but we'll do our best concerted effort to make that happen.
Okay, and then the mining now, if you believe it's in M3 zoning, will they need to come before you for a conditional use permit?
Yes, yeah, we'll make that happen. Yeah.
So right now, they're legally underground mining. in the city of Mosby.
As of right now,
Yes.
we'll make this privy to them. Again, we'll be good neighbors about this. They've been here for quite a while, so we'll present this to them as soon as possible and let them know. We've had some discussions with them, obviously, but yeah, as of now, they are unaware of a lot of this, but I know that they're probably pretty smart and expecting something like this.
You did not answer her question.
But they established mining without permission from the city of Mosby.
Oh, I don't know that. I wasn't even
It's a
here.
yes or no answer.
Well, the problem is, sir, I don't know because I wasn't here.
That was also part of my request. I asked for any approved conditional use permits or permits for
Oh, okay.
mining and
Yeah.
was told that there were none.
Well, I don't know. I wasn't even here.
Let me say something. When I asked that very question when we were doing the tour, and I asked them, when did you start underground mining? And they gave me the date.
Right.
And I said, did you get the approval from that for the city of Mosby? And they said, no. They went to the State Department of Mining
Department of
and
Natural
got the
Resources.
approval from there. And I was a little surprised that they didn't have to come to you to say, I want to do underground, but they said they never did.
I'm
and it was
surprised
all
too
done.
because I mean, none of us was actually on the council at that particular point in time. I mean, I don't know what happened in the
Yeah.
past, but I
That
think
makes
going
it bad.
I think going forward though, this is probably enforceable.
Is there still,
Yeah.
Hold on,
Yeah.
I don't think so, because if the city doesn't have an ordinance or a permit defined already, it would then default to the state. That's why they went to.
I did.
But we're
Well,
just
but
past
the city is a
resolution.
zone, the city is a zone community,
It
and
is.
underground mining was not permitted. It's
Well, now,
not.
how do you know? If there's no ordinance
There is an
restricting,
ordinance.
well, but if the ordinance doesn't restrict the type of mining, it would then
It-
default to the state.
No, it does, so since they're a zone community, and they have a list of permitted uses in each zoning district, by default, when it's not listed, it is a prohibited use. And
Is that by the state of Missouri?
Yes,
Okay.
that's how zoning.
Okay. All right.
would it be public record for the minutes of the meetings from when the mine came in?
Oh, yeah, it should be. I mean,
There should be.
Well, we should be able to
But
request
like I said, and I know this really isn't an excuse, but since this has happened, we've had 4 different clerks in there. 4 different clerks found their own way of filing things, which makes it hard for some of us to find where they filed things.
So then that goes back to my question, how are you gonna manage this ordinance and these reports that have to be given and all of this checking? It seems like a lot.
I don't think it really is that complicated. You know, I was pretty involved in writing this, and I mean, yeah, there's definitely some fine points here, but a lot of that falls back on them. You know, basically
What
we
happens
do-
when they don't?
then we go up and we say, hey, look, you're not doing this, and then you're subject to this. We show them that, we issue them a warning, and then issue them a citation.
You say it's not hard to mine or to take care of this, but you haven't done anything since, you
Again, I wasn't here. These guys weren't here.
guys have been here for quite a while.
I've lived in Mosby, when
A long time, guy.
well, no, I moved away for quite a while. I haven't been on the council. I just came back to Mosby about maybe 4 years ago.
Well,
Yeah,
they've been mining since then.
that's correct.
But-
Yeah, but that was really none of our business at that point.
But Pam, when all of that started, none of us was on this board.
I understand that, but a lot's been going on since then.
You're right.
Yeah, that's
And
exactly right.
if you guys,
And we're trying to correct any past
and what we're
problems.
trying to do, if you're trying to correct it, and I think several of us is looking at, why don't you know already what's been going on up there? until I feel like that the community has come into you guys and said, hey, they're blasting. And I remember that you said they're blasting underground, and I believe the mayor said, I didn't know that.
We did not know that.
They've been
Well, I don't know,
blasting,
that's what I'm saying.
They've
You
been-
don't
Did you know that?
Yes, I knew that.
they've been blasting underground for a year.
We
We just heard
haven't
about
heard
it in
about it
May.
just so recently.
We just heard about it.
But that's not our point. We're not in Mosby.
I know, but we, they've been doing this for years.
I'm a little curious why you guys didn't complain when it first started.
Yeah, when you come to us earlier.
We did
We
complain.
tried.
We were here at Renee's annexation and raised Cane.
Oh, didn't know that.
You
were all here?
You were all here.
All of you.
No, with Renee's annexation.
When Renee got annexed,
Why doesn't one of you become the subject matter expert? Because quite frankly, it doesn't look, it's not a good look that you all sit there and say that was before us. How come one of you doesn't take it upon yourself to gather all of
the
these
information.
documents, look at all
I
this
would like to see the
information?
minutes from
I mean,
that.
I've walked into a job before where there'd been, God knows how many people
Yeah.
before me, but it was, the onus was on me to
find
learn
it.
about the job and to be able to speak about past experiences, past occurrences, so that I could
Especially when
answer
we
the
started
questions. So
complaining.
I don't understand why one of you doesn't, you're talking about 4 previous clerks. How about one of you gather all this information, and then when you guys feel like we're picking at you, you have it. I used to have a desktop guide.
We've got
job I
files
had.
here, we've got files
No,
over there.
I
mean, it just packed
understand.
away.
I'm just
We're gonna have
saying,
to go
how
through
come
them,
one of
okay?
you
We'll do
just
that.
I
We will do that,
I did
okay?
not get paid a dime to come down here.
I'm sure you don't.
And
I'm
and
sure.
put in the hours that I have put in
Absolutely.
since the first
Absolutely.
meeting.
Absolutely.
I have looked that closet, I have looked everywhere that I would think that the previous clerks may have put something.
So what you're saying, you can't find it? Any?
At this
It's
point,
here somewhere, but like I said, when we had one clerk that thought, we don't need nothing that's 6 months old. Did she throw this stuff away? I hoping not, but without a doubt, no, but it's just hard to track some of this stuff.
we're gonna have to look at every piece of file that we have.
But you guys keep
Concerning-
saying something, and I think
Coming down here 3 days, trust me and my husband's about ready for a divorce because I come down here 3 days a week.
And I get it, but I mean, that's part of what your position is on this board, is to be
It is.
knowledgeable
We understand.
about your community, and it sounds like the mining operation has pretty much done anything they wanted, because nobody's really been watching them. Shame on them.
And that's why
But
we were also
it's
angry.
creating these issues for all of you, because they're not behaving. And, you
Can I-
guys all
can I
get
just make-
tarred and feathered for it.
Go ahead.
I'm not going to complain about things. What I want to do is say, I think the point you're bringing up is a valid point. You guys have plenty of priorities already and volunteering for this effort. Is it appropriate that you would have this ordinance supply the funding to get someone on your staff to monitor and control all of this, rather than having you do it? And then you've already got the plan, this guy said, to have it enforced by the sheriff's department if you get that passed by the county. So now it's a matter of, how do you maintain this? I don't know if it's an everyday thing. Maybe it's once a month at some point, but do you need to hire somebody to be able
Well,
to do that?
that's a good point, okay? I don't know that.
And you need to establish your records system so
Right.
that any clerks you have coming in have to follow the same.
Trust me, they don't. I know you're right.
So this will give us the, like you said, this will give us the opportunity to hire more qualified people, right? And going forward, we plan to not only implement this, but there's several other things that we're looking at as well. So that's a very good point, and thank you very much.
Nathan?
Yeah, so you said something about section 15, operators are basically liable for any foundation issue or any issue that would be upon a resident within 1,500 feet
Post-inspection.
after post-inspection, and that's within the first, whatever, for 14 days. It's just a lot of information. Is there a way I can get a copy of that?
Yeah.
Yeah, we'll be happy to give you a copy. Probably
Once it's been
filed.
adopted and filed and everything, yes, you can have a copy of this.
So we just come down and...
You need, it needs to be in the form of a sunshine law request.
You know, I don't live where they live, or I'm not here, but one of the things that I think we should all give you credit for trying to get these regulations in place, so they're not just doing whatever in the heck they want to up there.
Well, thank you, Jay.
But the fact that this is such an overwhelming task, you know, I have grave concerns about the approval of the annex land purely because there's so many questions unanswered. If that can be put off for as long as you can put it off till everything can get lined out, you know, the fact that they could go somewhere else and just without you knowing, this is the upsetting thing, without y'all knowing, they go to the state and get approval to go underground, surprise, and they don't come to you and tell you or try to get it from you first. That was disconcerting to me.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, it's
you know, I
disconcerting to us as
think
well.
when you think about it, is that somebody you want to continue to do business with or not be able to regulate them a little tighter? 'Cause
Well,
that-
and I think this amendment to the ordinance, existing ordinance, is self-funding. So we'll be getting a certain amount per ton. We've even put in conditions to go out, try to be friendly. If it's a down year or something like that, we can take a percentage of the revenue instead. I mean, there's some paperwork involved here, for sure. But yeah, I think we can do that. This will help fund, as that gentleman said, someone a little bit more competent, maybe someone full-time.
Yeah,
So.
that'd be great, you could.
David, yeah, his name.
Totally forgot about it. Oh, I applaud you guys.
David, that's called old
Thank you,
age.
David.
Seriously, I applaud you guys for going through this and everything that you've gone through here, because it sounds to me like you're going to try to put some pressure on IDA.
Absolutely.
That's what,
Okay?
that's,
And we applaud you for that. We thank you very much for that. We beg you to say no to this annexation, like Joanne says, until we can get all of this stuff taken care of.
they need to comply with what they have now
My next
before they go on further.
My next question was, in the ordinance, you stated that you would have monthly reports from the company.
That seismic reporting, I believe.
Well, I mean, didn't know it was more of a, making sure that they were following all regulations.
Yeah, monthly reports, including any type of complaints, seismic monitoring, things like
And
that.
that would be done monthly?
I believe so, yeah.
And would that be open forum for anybody to come?
Yeah, then we're going to have, meetings as well.
That they would
Yes.
have a monthly
Right.
community information.
I just want to make sure I'm right. Now, my second question is, this is all well and great for the mining company. Have you thought about doing this for the asphalt company?
Asphalt is next on our list, but we have some other priorities for that, before that I think will take precedence. I'm not going to really share that right now, but we do have some other priorities in regard to just everything. It surrounds this. So probably yes.
Last thing that I want to say is that I've been trying really hard through all these meetings to really keep my Jesus, okay? And because it's upsetting to all of us, very much upsetting to what's happening. Jesus said, love your God with all your soul and mind. Second was love your neighbor as yourself. We're asking you to love your neighbor as yourself when you think about voting on this annexation.
And I plead with you that you don't accept the annexation until those...
This will be filed.
These are-
This will be filed as soon as possible. So any type of, even if there wasn't another mining permit thing, you would have to follow the same regulations. So the annexation and mining are two different things. From what I
No,
understand.
they're not, because they're going to mine them.
It's the
But the first step is the annexation.
Technically, they are separate, so it's okay to
Yes,
say.
technically.
It's okay to say that,
There's-
but we all understand what one leads to the other.
Not necessarily. I don't really do that.
They stood up and said it was mining.
Yeah, and I also asked them, and I haven't heard a reply yet, because David went in to the city of Mosby without a mining permit. And now we have conditional use permits, so they're gonna have to decide.
How does all of this, I mean, this is fabulous, but how are you going to enforce this on operations that they're already currently conducting? They're already doing business, they're already doing all of these
Right,
things.
this
How do you
will-
get them, because this implies, it says amendment.
Amendment to
So
the
what-
existing mining.
Right, so what, they didn't agree to anything nearly as stringent as this when they first began, so your hands are kind of tied
How?
to get, well, I mean, you can do this for future, but how do you get this to go backwards?
if they're
You can't
already-
grandfather that in.
They're already underground. So if they went behind your back underground, what makes you think they're going to follow that?
Well,
That's the only thing we're trying to get you guys to understand. on this.
Yeah, I get it. I wasn't on the city council, none of the city council was here at the time when all that happened. That was just allowed to happen in my view.
Well, when I'm in the military or my job right now, I would never take over something if I didn't know the intent of everything that was already involved with that organization. I would not join my kid's scout troop if I found out that they don't go camping, right? So that's important that I find out, hey, what does the scout troop do? What do they do? What kind of funds do they have? Are we a rich scout troop or are we broke? Does the church like us? Do they not like us? Hey, what are the regulations on scouting here in this troop? Because we have bylaws within scouts. So I know there's laws that involve everybody. We would just really urge you guys to think about what is actually happening, because it's already been, by the operator's attorney over here, it's already been said that they're going to continue underground mining upon annexation. It's already been permitted, basically, right? That is their intent.
I don't
when they
think so.
file.
We're going to run this by our attorney, obviously. I think he can be, we can pass this new amendment to the ordinance, and I think it's enforceable. Obviously, we did run this by the attorney. He said it was okay.
Well, it looks and sounds great.
So I would think, two questions. One, it's enforceable for any future permits, for sure,
Yeah.
as soon as it's filed, period. No problem. That's great. How do you know if you can use it for the current operations? Because they're already under a permit that goes through what year?
I mean, we'll double check with our attorney, but according to my research, we can. We can
Well,
pass
but
this.
what's the permit currently, and what's the end date on the current permit? What's the expiration? Sorry, I was looking.
I don't know that offhand.
Yeah, so if that expiration date is 20 years in the future,
Oh, I don't think it is.
even if it's 2 years in the future,
Well,
you may
just-
not
I'll
be
say this
able to
one.
apply.
One of the meetings, it
Brad, you
they
talking
set
about
till
permit or a
27.
business license?
Both.
They get them once a year.
So you can revoke or deny their business license to operate in the city next year on renewal, if you choose.
That's right.
And you can also make it conditional on the ordinance at that point.
That's right.
Okay, so in the future, you'll be able to govern it. Whether or not you can enforce it is a question of how you find out.
Right,
And are you
right.
going to rely on
Sure.
citizens to tell you when they think they're not complying, or?
Well, we did put in a public voice in here. We're going to require a hotline, make phone calls. We've had a great discussion, some not so great, but I mean, fruitful discussions in the past within at least the last few months. So I would suspect that, you guys would let us know, call them first, obviously, say, hey, look, there's a problem with that. I mean, if it was me and I was up there and I had a sheetrock cracked and things like that, I would say, hey, let me take a picture of that, let me document. But, as you all just heard, anybody within a certain amount of feet, at their expense, professional engineers going to go in, let's document it.
To live that way.
Huh? Pardon
Who
me?
wants to live that way? To always, here we go. I can see split. Let's get a sheetrocker out. Let's get an engineer out. Okay, well, the next week it happens again. And they're living their whole entire lives out there, wondering when the next wall's going to crack, when the foundation's going to crack.
Yeah.
The property values are dropping. There's no way
What I
that
don't
anyone,
understand
there's
is,
no way that anyone is going to go and buy any of these people's homes.
Yeah.
No way.
What I
If it
don't-
was you,
what I don't-
how would you like that? How would you like it?
What I don't understand, and I live close to a railroad track. I live within 500 feet of a railroad track. Closer than that.
We are, yes.
Closer to the railroad track.
Then you are.
Oh, really?
Yes.
Okay.
So is she.
Yeah, so am I.
Yeah, I don't
And
know.
on that street, I have an airport.
I'd have to step it up. We could look on GIS, we could look on Google and
Oh,
find
it's
out.
no problem. My
Let's look-
whole
look at
property
the
line
competition.
touches the whole road.
The train doesn't shake our house like that.
There's a big difference between the shaking that happens from the rail.
Yeah, no, I've been up there when it's blasted, so, yeah.
Have you been in a house, in a building when it blasted? Because there is a big difference. When you're outside, you don't get the effect of the shaking of everything. The windows shake, everything shakes.
I have.
Yes, okay.
Yeah, so I'm fully aware.
When this gets passed, when do you plan to present it to IDEC?
ASAP?
ASAP. And
I'll do it personally.
the second thing that I would just like to put out there is that none of us live in a house that was structurally engineered for that kind of movement.
Okay.
We all live in structures that were designed and engineered and built to be on solid foundations that don't move.
When you,
And will this
once we get this
go
filed,
back and cover what's been done to our homes now?
once we get this filed and do the sunshine request, you'll see appendices in the back, okay? And a lot of that is actually directly referencing the U.S. Bureau of Mines when they were actually in force. Most of the mining ordinances and everything like that, it's my understanding, originated with the U.S. Bureau of Mines when they were actually in force. They actually did quantitative testing on sheetrock and concrete and things like that. And that's where we derived our PPV values and our above ground blasting type stuff.
So I guess to her question, though, maybe it's about, for people who are currently in a 1,500-foot proximity, can they now have an inspection from this point forward?
Yes, that's what we're going to require. Of course, with your permission.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, one question, since this time forward with the new ordinances, can they all get a copy of the old ordinance that you guys had in place? Can they have a copy of it so they can see?
Yeah, I'm going to submit that with the sunshine request on this one, and
That's what they're still looking
Yeah, they're
for.
looking for it, so
Right,
yes, as soon as they find it.
I know, but they've been looking for it for how long?
It's section 400, right? Yeah, okay, so submit a sunshine request, I think,
You got to understand that for all of us sitting out here, when you sit here and you say, well, we can't find the copies of that, we don't have the records from when the mine came in, we don't have this, we
No,
don't
I've
have
seen the mining permit.
it makes us all feel like, well, something really
yeah, I get that.
weird went on.
But I think it was, it's my understanding, it was like 1950s or something like that?
1920, what? When
The
the-
original mining ordinance?
1923.
What about when they were trying to put the mine out by my house?
Oh, I don't know. I don't know.
Well,
I'll do some
say-
research.
I know, but they did a flagpole annexation out to my land. I live in Liberty, and you all have land that touches my land on the railroad track.
I have land that touches your land?
Mosby,
City of Mosby.
Okay.
the city of Mosby. So they did a flagpole annexation out to the property they originally were going to mine. That's why we're here. We were
And where do you guys live?
in Liberty.
Well, we live just out west of
And
Mosby.
land.
Do you know Ron and Ellen Smith?
Yeah, we don't have any land.
They live, their address is Mosby. Their farm is in Mosby. It touches
Oh, we have that
the
round right
railroad
there, they have
tracks.
that.
And we live just west of that.
And I'm on
You live
Stockdale
west of the
Road.
railroad tracks.
Okay.
I'm on
Yeah.
Stockdale Road.
I live
Oh,
south.
Stockdale. Okay,
Yeah,
sure, yeah.
I'm on Stockdale.
East of Stockdale.
Oh,
Wait a
okay.
minute, some of that
And
might-
you're, and
Yes, it
Mosby's
is.
land, they annexed
Yes.
out to there. So at that point, we fought them all the way to DNR and changed the whole city council up. And finally, I think
Because they were gonna put a quarry out there?
Yeah.
But were there ordinances changed to that?
Yeah,
point?
that's
That I
what
don't
we need to know.
So that would have been 2007, 2008.
Yeah.
But Sally, you're saying you think it was in the 20s?
Oh, no, I thought you were talking about just mining in particular. You know, most people still on coal mines.
Right.
Yeah.
So, and there's still 3 pending here.
Yeah, but was there an ordinance in the city for mining at that?
And for that, back in the 1923s, did we not find that?
Yeah, there was an ordinance when
Yes.
anybody started mining, it was a mining ordinance.
Right, but that ordinance is not gonna help these people if they can only go from today forward. It is not gonna help them.
Are you
at
guys
all.
in the blast zone out there?
Huh?
Do you feel it shake in your place?
Yeah.
Do you really?
We can. There's,
I don't.
we can feel it.
I can see all the smoke, but I am here because we fought this very hard.
Okay.
And I feel sorry for these people because if it were in your backyard or your next door, you wouldn't like it either. And Cecil Trout Line said some very nasty things to me.
Yeah, you're right.
Very nasty. And that's, you know.
I understand he's getting out of the land around here, though. That land deals between us and stuff is going to Heidecker's fine with that. So, but my point.
Well, we
you
don't
got-
know that.
Yeah, Heidecker's said it. My point was the ordinances themselves is what we're looking for. Is there a way to try to help you get a temporary person to come in and give them instructions on what you're looking for? And go
We
through
have
all
the
of that?
original ordinances, section 400.
You have that?
Yeah, and when you just do a sunshine request, and we'll include that with this.
Because I thought
Shouldn't
that's
that
what
be
Mallory.
Yeah.
I wasn't sure what they were talking about.
Yeah, I thought that was
Yeah.
But we do have the 400, and that's what we're amending tonight.
You shouldn't have to ask for some sunshine request. for
Right, that should be
That
published.
should be
It should
published.
be
Okay, well, as soon as it's filed, look it up, I guess they
No, no,
follow
the old
it
one.
online.
We're looking for the old one. We shouldn't have to have a sunshine request for the old
Is it
one. That should be
online? Someone
published.
said it was
Our
online.
ordinances are online, yes.
So ordinance
We've all been through
400
the
should be
ordinances and we
there.
have-
It should, I mean,
So,
and I hate to say this, I wasn't here when it was done, but the person that put our ordinances online, I would assume that he put all of them online the way they should have been. Jason's the one that done it.
yeah, and so what I've heard in these meetings, and Nathan or others can say, they've researched online. So what I've heard is they've researched online and they can find ordinances, but what they cannot find is anything referencing underground mining.
Okay.
Okay.
So
All right, well,
that's the specific thing that we want to know about because they're doing it now and the city supersedes the state if you have an ordinance about that. So that's first.
Yeah, we do have an ordinance on that because that was permitted probably, I'm just guessing now, when the original coal mines went in.
Which would have been in the 1920s.
1920s.
And then in the 2020s is when Heidecker started, right?
Right, right. Before that?
They tried,
They
yeah.
started.
I have a question. You keep saying that Heidecker's buying more property. Where do you think what they're going to do with the more property they're buying?
I
Exactly.
don't know.
I'm not a road
It said that the property they just bought is Excelsior.
I want you guys to
Kind of
think
like-
about that.
I can't say what Excelsior did. That's
Well,
what
the ordinance that they're
last
talking
year.
about manage that, right?
They bought it
It was the
from,
city of Mosby.
huh?
Yeah.
What you're talking about in the city of Mosby?
But
No,
what I just said was, your ordinance that you're putting in place
Right.
will take care of that
Yeah.
if they buy land that's in the city of Mosby.
correct.
But if it's outside, then we have to go to Clay County or
Yeah, right.
whatever.
That's right.
And my question is with the ordinance that you had before this one that you're amending, I had damage several years ago. It was after the mining started. I'm up Shit Creek without a paddle. It's not
For your
fair.
past
You say it was a year ago or something, or
For my past damage.
how long ago was it?
I can't remember the exact year.
Did you go to IDECO about that?
I was told that they could not prove that it was caused
So,
from
and then
the
therein
blast.
lies the reason we want pre-inspection, so we can actually prove it.
Right.
But
You
what
do
am I
need to-
supposed to do with my bill that I have?
Nothing she can do.
Nothing we can do.
But
But can't I go back to the Mosby that was in charge at that time?
No.
And file a lawsuit against them for letting them come in and blast and destroying my property?
And correct me if I'm wrong, but I haven't, wasn't a comment made that you turned your damage into your insurance company and they said they couldn't prove how it happened?
Exactly, because they're saying the same thing. Well, can't I prove that it was Heidecker who did it? They can't
And
prove that it wasn't.
I do believe that when Renee's property was annexed in, I think he was probably all here, and you were advised to take current pictures of your homes at that time. In case there was further damage, then you could prove that there was other damage done to your homes. Yes, that's what you were told. So,
And this ordinance will formalize.
this
that
was
quote
not an
inspection.
ordinance, this was something
Right.
that
But
the
I'm saying,
attorney suggested
even
they
if you
do.
did that, that would be
Yes.
questionable by IDEC.
Right.
But now, if you do these pre-inspections, then
Right.
it should be at least something.
And that was part of the reasoning, Pam, because they can't prove that IDECers caused that crack in your wall, your foundation, or whatever it was. But if you was to take current pictures of your home now, before they started the mining on Renee's
Well,
property,
it's going to be independent third party.
then you could see new damage done to your home, and you could say, hey, look, this wasn't fair.
Because they've already started mining and running, so.
They have now, yes, but I mean, when they started 3 years ago, it was suggested that everyone out there take pictures of their homes, their foundations, to prove the damage.
Well, and
Well,
are
it
you in the
still doesn't
same?
make any good now if we have damage now, right?
Right.
So,
Was that in the minutes back
It's not
then?
gonna help.
unless you,
It
unless you
probably
help
is,
them,
But it's not going to help us.
well,
I wasn't technical back then, I believe it was property.
Yes.
Hattie?
I find it hard for that to be put to us when we didn't even find out about it until they were approving the mining. The
It was
annexation had
after.
already happened.
Yeah,
So-
it had already happened. When we all found out about it, everything had already happened, and we were coming to a meeting that was just like.
To approve the
So
mining.
DNR was here, Mission was here,
No.
and all they did was say, hey, there's basically the permits have been approved, mining has been approved, the annexation's already been approved, everything had already been approved.
Yeah, there was nothing we could do about it.
Nothing.
When we had the public hearing for Renee Rodas' property, she came in late, and she was put down for being annexed into the city of Mosby when all she was trying to do was look for the future for her son. That poor girl stood there and
But we
fought.
want the same.
She did.
Don't give me Don't give me for her. Okay, I'm sorry.
Do you want me to break into tears? Does that make you feel?
I'm just telling
I
you,
know, I was there, and I went to Renee, and I said, I'm sorry, Renee.
but I'm just telling you what was told at that meeting, that you should have.
It was too late. There was nothing we could do at that point. It was too late. Everything had been done. That's why we got, that's why
I
we were
meant poor
also
Renee because,
agitated.
I meant poor Renee because she has cancer.
I know that.
Okay, I don't mean because of who she is.
But she stood out here and through all that with about my son having cancer and dying. She stood out here. So don't feel that sorry for her.
What do you know when we present?
Your daughter was friends with my son. That should affect you. That should affect you. And she stood out here and she threw that in my face.
For me, you wouldn't.
Yes, we appreciate it.
I have done nothing.
I haven't done nothing.
I didn't even tell anybody who told me to protect you.
I said it loud and clear.
I was gonna say Clay County does. Clay County, I was like, once you read Clay County.
I was trying to protect you because I didn't want you to be hurt by it. So I protected you and didn't tell anybody.
Well, you're not.
And that should show you that
I have more friends out there that have already befriended me.
Well, I'm glad-
And I have not
feel
even
that way.
made up my mind yet what I want to do.
your children's friendship with my children and your grandson's friendship with my grandson.
They know that.
Well, I was gonna say, they probably
It'd be like here, that's.
My friend works at the city of Mosby, and I text her like the meeting. Shout out and God said, yeah, they're very kind. That's what happened.
I'm sorry.
Well, and your tax levy, that's why you spend all your tax levy on that, so where's your revenue coming? I get you guys.
I wanted to ask you, did you guys do this
Yes.
We're licensed, business licenses.
This one says 10 cents per.
You know,
let their revenue.
Over here in this,
That's not the one.
What we just did.
okay, they did use this one
Okay, on this.
I didn't get to ask my question about how you're going to set those funding amounts and things like that, but it did say